Welcome to Cretoni Entertainment. I'm Chris.
I'm Bree.
And Bree, it is time. It is time to talk about Age of the Grid. Hopefully, what is going to be the final version of it.
I thought it was time to hurt Demon's feelings.
It is time to hurt Demon's feelings. We've done some other videos about Age of the Grid. We've done some Age of the Grid battle reports. We've done some Age of the Grid kind of list building things. We've done a number of things like that, but I was never actually happy with Age of the Grid and the direction it was going.
Right.
I think we finally stumbled onto something we're happy with. I think it's something I'm happy with. I played it a few times with Julian. I haven't played it with you yet, but I've been on a roll on this. So for those of you new to this, Age of the Grid is our rules overlay. I'm calling it an overlay. I'm not calling it a way to play the game. I'm calling it an overlay for OnePageRules Age of Fantasy Skirmish game system, which can be found at OnePageRules.com.
Yep.
And what we were trying to do previously was we were trying to adapt the Heroes of the Grid figures from Renegade Games into the Age of the Grid, the Age of Fantasy system using the points calculator, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It was never quite working. So now there's actually a minor rules overlay to make it work. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the few overlay items, and then we're going to talk about two of the factions that have been designed to be used in Age of the Grid. There are going to be more factions available. So you have some notes in front of you. Here, wrinkle them all up like we're professionals. Yeah, look, we got notes. We actually have notes today.
Chris, printing me papers so I know what I'm talking about.
So, Age of the Grid, a couple notes. Like we mentioned, the factions for Age of the Grid are meant to be played with the OnePageRules game systems. They are not balanced the existing Age of Fantasy Skirmish factions. That was one of my issues before, as I was trying to find a way to balance it to it, because theoretically I was thinking, oh man, you could play Goblins versus Power Rangers and whatnot. They're not, it's just not, it's not designed for that. What we are going for with the Power Ranger stuff is something more cinematic. Every
Ranger
model
versus bad guys.
Yeah, almost every model is going to have multiple health points on it. That's just not true of the standard skirmish stuff. So we recommend playing the Age of the Grid factions against each other. You can do Rangers versus Evil, Rangers versus Rangers, Evil versus Evil. Doesn't really matter how you do it. But we don't recommend playing them against other Age of Fantasy factions unless you and your opponent have talked about it first and you are okay with a potential mismatch in balance.
Yeah.
Next designer's note here is Age of the Grid, the rules overlay here, and the factions are a work in progress. We are not done with them. There's a lot more to add. There are going to be lots of changes to make. So we really do encourage you to download the core rules for Age of Fantasy Skirmish from OnePageRules.com. Download our file of Age of the Grid. I'm going to make a link available in the description.
Ooh, fancy.
Right. Play it, try it, give us criticisms, give us feedback, corrections.
Like, nice criticisms, because we're very sensitive about some things.
I don't really care. You can do whatever you want, criticism-wise. I am gonna read them all. I'm gonna take into consideration ones that work, and I'm gonna ignore ones that don't work. And well, I mean, I am. That's just the reality of it. You can comment them on this video here. You can reach out to us on our Discord, link in the description below. You can email us, CretoniEntertainment@gmail.com, link in the description, or that address in the description below as well. So, playing Age of the Grid, what is this rules overlay? We're 3.5 minutes in, we haven't even talked about the rules overlay. So, we mentioned that this is a rules overlay. We have changed a couple of minor things about Age of Fantasy to make Age of the Grid, and I say a couple of things because it really is just a couple of things. Number one, models can only use one melee and one ranged weapon per turn.
Right.
So in the standard rules, if you have two melee weapons, you can use them both. If you have, and I guess what I should really say is if you have two melee weapon lines, you may use one per turn. So you have like the Zeo Rangers are going to have Zeo Laser Blasters and Zeo Laser Rifles.
Right.
You can't use them both in a single turn. If you choose to use the rifle, you can't use the pistol.
Right.
If your model is linked as having, martial arts or a power pod sword and their power weapon, you cannot use them both. You have to pick one of them. Now, if your power weapon happens to be like power daggers, it's a pair of them, you can use the two power daggers as your one weapon line.
2 times mighty maces for Billy. 2 times mighty maces
for Billy in one of the factions, absolutely. So you can use that, but you couldn't use Billy's martial arts to go with it. So that's kind of one overlay. The second overlay is we have a category of weapon called power weapons. So those are tagged with an asterisk in the actual lists. You're going to see that on screen. That's only tagged that way really for certain rules that pop up. To make it as cinematic as possible, you may see things like Pudgy Pig having the ability to devour power weapons. You're going to see certain rules take away the ability to use power weapons. You're going to see certain rules affect power weapons. So we just tagged them with an asterisk so you know the difference between a power weapon and a non-power weapon. Of course, if you're playing with Age of the Grid, Heroes of the Grid figures, you probably are familiar with what a power weapon is in the Power Rangers universe. And the last one is you're not going to use the standard points when constructing an Age of the Grid army. They call it army construction. Really, you're building a team. You're not going to use standard point system. Instead, all Age of the Grid models have a threat value. A standard size game is meant to be played with 20 threat per side.
Right.
You could potentially go ahead and make that higher or lower as you see fit. But 20 threat per side is kind of the idea. It's going to give you a full Ranger team.
Right.
Or it's going to give you a pretty good size collection of, baddies and foot soldiers. So that said, let's jump in with two of the factions we built so far. Now, if you download if you go to the link in the description or download the file that we've set up, you'll actually see that we have 12 pages worth of Age of the Grid stuff.
We have what?
There's 12 pages so far. It's all the rules. It's all the faction rules.
Ah.
So we have, the Mighty Morphin Season 1 Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Season 2, the Mighty Morphin Season 3, Zeo. There's a whole faction called Sixth Rangers, where they're literally just out there that you can pull them into your faction to get to your 20 threat value. So we're going to talk about two of them today. And the two most obvious ones to talk about were Mighty Morphin Season 1 and Rita's faction, which we called the Court of the Imprisoned Empress. So we're not talking about those. We're actually going to talk about ones. Well, I mean, some people say they get tired of hearing Mighty Morphin over and over again. We're still going to talk Mighty Morphin, but we're going to go a different direction with it here. We're actually going to talk about a faction we've called, for the time being, we call it the Stone Canyon Rangers. This is Mighty Morphin Season 2. So this is meant to emulate a team right when Rocky, Adam, and Aisha just joined the team for the first time.
Right.
If you're looking at your sheet there, Bree, you'll notice that Tommy Oliver is not listed on this team. Tommy Oliver White is listed in the 6th Ranger section. He does share the team rule. He is kind of meant to go with this team, and this team comes up to, like every team, really comes up to 16 threat value. So if you're playing 20 and you want to do fully themed, you would take these 5 models plus Tommy Oliver White, and you would have your team. I don't know if we're going to talk about Tommy Oliver in this particular video just because we don't want it to be too long. But we're going to talk through the Rangers real quick. We're going to talk through the faction special rule, and we're going to move on to the next one. So obviously you got 5 Rangers. You got Rocky, Adam, Kim, Billy, and Aisha. Yeah. Every faction has been given a faction special rule. So in this case, for the Stone Canyon Rangers, it's called Eager to Impress. And every model is either classified as an Eager to Impress rookie or an Eager to Impress veteran. So if any rookie models with this special rule, so Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, is able to make a charge action, they must do so unless they pass a morale check. If the test is failed, the model has to charge, but strikes at quality 6+. So basically, it could be a huge liability and effectively neuter them for a chunk of the game, charging and only hitting on 6s. Mm-hmm. Now, they do have quality 3, so there's a 67% chance that they're going to pass this test. Because if you read the OnePageRules rules, you're rolling a d6 and you got to meet or beat your quality value to pass the test. But it follows up with veteran models, so that would be Billy, Kimberly, and Tommy. Within 6 inches of a rookie, allow the rookie to automatically pass that test. However, if a rookie still voluntarily decides to take the test with a dice roll instead of automatically passing, and they pass the test, if they charge that turn, they're going to get +2 attacks, and they get to strike at their normal quality.
Ooh.
However, if they fail the voluntary test, they have to suffer as above. They're gonna charge and they're gonna hit the 6+. Mm-hmm. So that's the team rule for the Stone Canyon Rangers. As far as the Ranger themselves, we got Rocky, the Red Ranger. He's threat value 3, speed 6. That's the standard on almost all the figures.
Right.
Speed 6, quality 3, defense 3. That's pretty standard on most Rangers, and 3 wounds. He's obviously got the Eager to Impress rookie. He has a base martial arts. You'll notice the whole team has that. I won't mention it again. It's 2 attacks in melee. He's got the power sword. It's a melee weapon, 4 attacks, AP value 1. And the blade blaster, which the whole team has, 12-inch range, 1 attack, AP 1. Okay. You got Adam Park, who's Black Ranger. He also has Eager to Impress rookie. He's the same stat line as Rocky, but his power weapon's different. You'll notice he has both the power axe and the cosmic cannon, and he's got the weapon morph special rule. So weapon morph basically says, hey, this power weapon changes configuration, and it's complicated to do so.
Right.
So if Adam starts his turn shooting somebody with the cosmic cannon, he can't just switch to the power axe and use that in the same turn. He's got to pick one or the other for that turn.
Okay.
So if he attacks with the power axe, he's shooting with his blade blaster. If he attacks with the cosmic cannon, he's fighting with his martial arts.
Okay.
This has been accounted for in his threat value. And this is another reason we're using threat value. If I had just used standard one-page rules points calculations, this would jump Adam into another category of threat value for what we've kind of deemed the threat value to be.
Right.
We didn't want to do that. So what we did, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how we did it, but basically we took the cost values of each weapons, we took into account how many times they were likely to be used, and we based that off our threat values. And the threat value, we want to be able to be manipulatable to kind of gradually add new special rules to the game and still keep it relatively balanced the way we want it to play.
Chris did the maths. I just went, ooh.
So then you have Kimberly. She is actually listed as the team leader for the Stone Canyon Rangers. She is this way because if you're just playing faction out of the thing and maybe you take a different 6th Ranger, maybe you take Ninja or Phantom Ranger or whatever, you don't take Tommy Oliver, we need a team leader. Every team is going to have a team leader. Kimberly is classed as a team leader. That's going to give her the benefit, and this is true of any team leader anywhere. The start of the game, she gets to pick either +1 to hit in melee or +1 to hit with shooting, and that applies for the entire game. If you have 2 team leaders on the same team, you're going to have to pick one of them to benefit from the team leader rule, and the other one will not.
So if you do bring Tommy Oliver in,
and you want to make him the leader, Kimberly's going to lose that, or vice versa.
Right.
But Kimberly's going to have her power bow, 24-inch range, 4 shots, AP1. When you factor in her team leader, she's hitting on 2s with that. She is extremely dangerous in this list.
Which is good.
Then you go to Billy. We don't have all the Billies up in front of you, but this Billy is a change from the Mighty Morphin Season 1 team that we built. He is very defensive in the Season 1 list. In this list, so you don't have the same Billy over and over again, this one is more offensive. So instead of having a power lance that gives him a defensive abilities, he has 2 Mighty Maces as his power weapon.
Right.
They have 2 attacks each. So when Billy fights, he's going to roll 2 dice per Mighty Mace. So he's going to roll 4 dice at AP1. He's also listed as a Veteran Ranger. And then you've got Aisha. She's got the power daggers. Again, if you look at the document that we put up, you're going to see the difference between Aisha and Trini, Season 1, Season 2. Trini's going to be able to generate tons of attacks with her power daggers, whereas Aisha is a little more aggressive with her power daggers. She has the rending special rule built in. So if she rolls a 6 to hit, it's going to be resolved at AP4 and ignore the regeneration special rule.
Because she's got that need to impress.
She's got that need to impress, and she's a little more aggressive of a character. So that's basically the Stone Canyon faction. So if you look at the threat values, we got 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, which comes out to 16, obviously. You've got 4 threat value left, and we have conveniently made it so that all 6th Rangers come out to threat value 4. Yeah. So it's almost like we planned it to work this way. So that is right there, the Stone Canyon Rangers from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. We do have a team for Season 3 in there, but that's kind of a quick overview of them. We're going to go ahead and jump into a evil side faction real quick, unless, Bree, you wanted to add anything or say anything about this particular faction.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Give me my evil.
So we're going to shuffle our papers, and we're going to regroup real quick and get into...
Listen to that Foley work. Isn't it amazing?
Exactly. We're going to... Wow. We're going to regroup real quick, and we're going to jump back into the next faction. We are reorganized. Our papers have been shuffled.
As we display with our noise.
Bree has been punched in the nose.
Apparently. I don't know what happened, man.
She's complaining her nose hurts like she got punched. I don't think she's ever been punched in her nose in her life. And she's like, it hurts like my nose got punched.
Sir, I remind you of the fact that our eldest once headbutted me in the nose. And it actually clicked for like months after that.
The younger one headbutted you in the nose, too.
It's true.
Both the babies headbutted you. Anyway, that's irrelevant here. Bree's been headbutted in the nose several times here. We've got an evil faction lined up. So as mentioned, the easiest evil faction to talk about would be the Court of the Imprisoned Empress. So we didn't do that. Instead, this faction is called the Ranger Who Would Be King.
King and Horse and King and Horse.
It may not be a great name. We're probably going to change a lot of these names, but this is obviously going to be Lord Dracon's team.
Yes.
So you'll notice this about Draken's team, and you'll notice this about the Ranger team. It only has the Rangers from that team. You are going to have options to pull things in that aren't specifically part of your faction. Mm-hmm. They're just not going to share your faction special rule. Right. And as I kind of develop how that's going to work, it might be one of those situations where you have to have like the majority of your threat value has to come from one faction in order to get the faction special rule. Otherwise, you get nothing.
Kind of like
not unlike Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't want somebody sitting there and going, okay, well, let me pick 5 models that all have the best faction special rules together, and they each get their own rule and they work together in a broken way. Because that's not the point of this. The point of this is to make a fun cinematic game, not a broken game.
Don't be broken.
But the faction special rule for the Ranger Who Would Be King is called the Dragon Cannon. This is vicious. Okay, so once per turn, when you're activating a Mastodon Sentry, You pick another Mastodon sentry within 3 inches to help set up the Dragon Cannon. Neither of these sentries can move or make an attack this turn. Instead, they're going to pick an enemy model within 18 inches, have line of sight, and they're going to roll a die. If they get a 6, they're going to trigger a morale check. I wrote moral test.
You did. I see that.
Change that.
They question what they're doing with their lives.
Well, if they fail the moral test, they're taken off the table.
Yeah,
they're gone. They're gone. The Dragon Cannon drains them. They're removed. They're straight up removed from the table. If they pass the test, they instead suffer a number of wounds that leaves them with only 1 left.
That's rough.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that's an absolutely vicious special rule. Looking at it, I figured you're picking, and I may reword this a little bit. The idea is that you're picking 1 Mastodon sentry per turn to do this, not 1 for every 2 you have on the table. You're not going to be like, oh, I took 10 Mastodon sentries so I can do this 5 times in 1 turn. And the idea is you're doing this once in a turn, and your standard game of Age of the Grid is going to be 4 turns if you're following the core rules of Age of Fantasy.
Right.
Could potentially be longer if you're playing random game length. You figure you're doing this 4 times in a game. Honestly, you're going to be lucky for it to happen once, but that one time it happens is going to be memorable.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be kicking dirt for a while, going, this faction is stupid. Its faction special rule never worked, but man, that time it works and
go like,
and pulls off just a really troublesome enemy in one go is going to be just the best.
And by really troublesome enemy, you mean a pain in the butt ranger,
or another pain in the butt evil guy.
Ranger.
Well, you might be playing against like Goldar. Maybe it's you playing evil versus evil.
When are you ever going to play evil?
I actually think that'd be awesome to play evil versus evil.
Oh, okay. If you're actually going to play evil.
It'd be also awesome to play Ranger versus Ranger.
Yeah.
We've talked about that multiple times with battle reports, but we keep talking about how for battle reports until we're really situated, we should do something that everybody knows, Rangers versus bad guys. Anyway, that said, Bree is going to go through this faction really quick. So, Bree, go ahead. Let's go through it here.
Well, okay. So starting off with a big bad Lord Drakon. Speed 6, quality 3, defense 2, 6 wounds. So he is definitely beefier than your standard ranger. And then he also has and I love this, the Corruptor Dragon, which is actually the Corrupted Dragon Dagger.
I've already corrected that on screen.
Yeah, which is 5 attacks, AP 1. So that's going to wreck some face. And then, he also has Energy Drain and Fear. So Fear is kind of cool because it means that if something comes at them, they have to take a morale test if they're going to fight him. Right? Is it morale test?
No, it's a different game.
Different game. Mixing my games.
Fear over here is going to give him bonuses, basically the number of wounds he causes when he fights people.
Okay. And then Energy Drain is going to be where he can pick 1 model from the enemy unit, roll 1 die, and on a 2+, it takes 1 hit with Deadly 3, which is super entertaining. Then you get his girl, Ranger Slayer. She's speed 6, quality 3, defense 3, wounds 3 wounds. So, absolutely a ranger.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I gave Draken the wrong ability. I got to go back and look at that. I think I actually gave him a nastier ability than that. I may have put it in wrong.
Did you put it in wrong?
I'll verify that later. But for this video, it'll be fine. Keep going.
Okay. I'm gonna go with it. She's got martial arts just like a ranger. No problems. But she also then has her Bow of Darkness. So it's like the corrupted form of Kimberly's. And she's a quick shot with Merciless Killer. So, you remember Kimberly had her power bow, 24 inches, attacks 4 attacks, and AP 1. Well,
I definitely made a boo-boo on our notes because Merciless Killer says it does the same thing as Energy Drain, and it absolutely does not. Energy Drain is way worse. I'll have the corrected card on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Energy Drain actually does... Well, you already saw. I already put the corrected card on the screen. But Energy Drain does potentially up to 9 hits on a Ranger.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, let's. We only got a couple minutes left here.
Okay. And Bone Darkness does AP 2 hits, so that's cool. Then Black Dragon, speed 9, so he's trucking it across the board. Quality 4, defense 2, 3 wounds. He's threat value 4. Ranger Slayer was threat value 4. He's got regeneration, which will allow him to heal himself a little bit. And then he has 2 melee attacks to choose from.
No, they're the same thing. See, I've already fixed that too.
Okay.
That's another type. Hey, we mentioned this is an early draft.
Yeah.
So he's got 1 melee attack, Dragon Claws.
Dragon Claws, which is 4 attacks, AP 2. So super fun. That's gonna absolutely just run across the board, wreck face. And then you got the Mastodon Sentries. Now they're only threat value 1, so they're not as scary. They're speed 6, quality 4, defense 4, 1 wound each. They have martial arts, same thing, and then they also have their Mastodon rifle, which is range 18, 1 attack at AP 1. But when you figure that you're putting usually about 3 Mastodon sentries in a unit?
Well, no, they are units of 1.
They're units of 1.
If anything works in a multi-unit, it's going to be noted specifically on their card.
So only get one little dude who's going to do one little shot?
You get one dude, but he's threat value 1. Remember, this is a 20 threat value game. Remember, most Rangers come in at 3 to 4 threat values. So you're getting 3 to 4 Mastodon Sentries for every Ranger on the field. The idea behind a lot of the monster factions is if you're playing a 20 threat value, I mean, just take one look at this. You could take Drakon and Black Dragon and still have enough room for 8 Mastodon Sentries.
Yeah, you could.
So you're going to have, or you could even just take like Ranger Slayer and 16 Mastodon Sentries.
Because apparently you hate your opponent that much.
So, I mean, you have a lot of options to do crazy stuff like that in the evil factions.
Evil.
There's also going to be some evil Rangers to choose from, like the Psycho Rangers and our custom Nega White, if you remember our
negative white Ranger.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's basically the Ranger who would be King faction. And like I said, you'll be able to pull in monsters and other stuff from different lists to buff this up, and it doesn't have to be these same 4 model types over and over again, but the core of Draken's forces are going to be these guys. You may end up having like Black Dragon, a bunch of Mastodon Sentries, and a monster pulled off another list, because you're going to have to do something to be able to keep your faction special rule in play.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, there's a relatively brief overview of Age of the Grid kind of as it stands now, without a lot of huge funky changes. Some neat stuff put in there, our own kind of semi-custom point system put into play. We're going to be doing some battle reports of this.
Yes.
We were going to film one tonight. Actually, we were going to film one earlier in the week. But if anybody's on the Discord, you've probably already seen it. But if you're not aware, we were hunkered down for Hurricane Ian because we were directly under its flight path originally.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, in the last 12 hours, thankfully for us, not thankfully for anybody south of us.
No, not for Fort Myers.
But given the damage down south, I mean, it felt good not to get hit directly. But I know that sounds bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were hunkered down for Hurricane Ian. We didn't lose power, but we lost internet for a while.
A long while. It was a thing.
Maybe we'll get a battle report in tomorrow or Monday, because we're going to release this on Sunday, October 2nd. Maybe we'll get a battle report in sometime that day or this week and show kind of the rules as they are now. But otherwise, these are now available. Like I mentioned, there's a link, and we're ready to get people playing Age of the Grid. I mean, what other thoughts do you have to contribute here, Brie?
Well, I did notice on the thing that it had the psychic powers. I'm assuming that he doesn't. Drakon doesn't.
That's mostly a placeholder for right now. I'm actually using the templates created by Wylock's Armory.
Right.
Wylock's Armory does a lot of Grimdark Future battle reports, and he made a freely downloadable template to make it easy to read your unit stats. And I've been using that as kind of my template to build the rules. I may go ahead and reformat it into my own template down the road, but this has just been an easy one to fill in. And Psychic Powers is one of the lists, and I just didn't want to get rid of the table in case I needed it later. Well,
and that was just what I was thinking. I was like, I didn't know if you were going to go the route of like giving Lord Drakon maybe a little bit further down the way something else, but we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, give this a try. Wait for our battle reports. Like and subscribe for more content. Hit the bell button for notification. We're definitely going to keep plowing forward with Age of the Grid, and we're excited to do it, and we hope you guys are excited to give it a try. So that's all I have to say.
Bye.
And Bree jumps right into her bye. So that's going to be it for this video. Give Age of the Grid a try. May the power protect you all.
Okay, you guys, bye. Stay safe, bye.